defending the free market, and making the moral case for capitalism. The Justin Moore Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Justin Moore Show, where we make sense of what's going on in this crazy, insane, out of control world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I am back from my little trip to London. It was an amazing experience. I ended up renting a car out there, and my intention was never to drive a car in the town of London, because I thought, it's going to be crazy, big city driving, that sort of thing. But when I had one of my hotels booked, I had to go across London, so I did have to drive in London just a little bit. But to try to hit a lot of the tourist spots, I did use, the trains, the underground is what it's called. And but anyway, when I was driving through London, I'm telling you what, that is the craziest driving I have ever done. It was insane. You got these roundabouts, 5 lanes, 5 exits, and it's just way, way different driving, a sort of feeling compared to, say, in Montana. Montana people are so slow-paced, it's really annoying. Yeah, in London, if you're going the speed limit, you're going way too slow. And there is one thing I do like about their lights, is they have, when the light is red, right before it's about to turn green, it turns to yellow and then green. Once they see that the signal is yellow, they start coasting forward. And so I think that's just a really genius sort of idea. I don't know why we don't have that over here in the U.S., where it just makes traffic flow so much easier. Because I can tell you, being in Montana, people don't pay attention. Once a light turns green, the very first car just thinks about moving about, 2-3 Mississippi later. Like, people are so slow here. You got a light and only 5 cars get through. It's like, are you kidding me? You're in these big cities like London, you've got 30 cars going through a light, or more than that. It's just way, way different. I ended up driving up to Scotland because when the wedding was going on that Friday morning, I took off. It's like, I want to get the hell out of here. I don't want to be around here for the wedding. It's because how crazy it's going to be. And actually, when I'm driving on Friday, I'm actually going by pretty close to where Windsor's at, in that same direction, because I was going to go to Stonehenge first, which is west of London. So saw Stonehenge, which was really cool to see, just because, it's just one of those things that's on everybody's bucket list. Certainly on mine, just those ancient stones from thousands of years ago that still remain standing to this day. Absolutely incredible. Then also went up, and I was in the town Stratford-upon-Avon just for a little bit. Saw Shakespeare's birthplace. His home is still there. And then I ended up heading up to Scotland, went to St. Andrews, that golf course. That's actually the golf course where golf first began over 600 years ago. The first 18 holes ever constructed was at St. Andrews, and those holes are still there today. And it's pretty cool, even though I didn't get to play the course, which hopefully I can go back and do that. But even if you're not playing the course, the 18th hole, there's like this famous bridge, and as long as there's no golfers coming, you can get pictures on that bridge, walking across it. And I ended up doing that, got some pictures. St. Andrews is really, really cool. Scotland is just absolutely beautiful in and of itself. I mean, all those rolling green hills. It's just, that's one thing I love to do when I go to other countries, is if it makes sense, I want to rent a car. I basically, driving up to Scotland from London, if you would have pulled it up on a map, that's driving through the whole United Kingdom. So it was absolutely cool. It really gives you sort of a feeling, a sort of vibe for the country, and you just get to witness a lot of things you wouldn't normally get to see if you just remained in the city or even just taking a bus. So it's absolutely fantastic experience. I ended up flying out of Dublin to get home because, flying for the airlines, the fee that I do charge when I fly international it's the taxes, and it's more expensive to fly out of London. And I thought, well, I always want to go to Dublin too, which is only for one day, so it kind of worked in a multitude of ways for me. So flying to Dublin via Ryanair actually made a little bit of sense. And just, basically in my 1 week I was gone, I really packed a lot into that. Driving that much, it really was that jam-packed sort of week. But that seems to be how I kind of like it, I guess. I don't know. It's hard for me to stay still when you're on vacation. It's like, oh, you got so much to do, so much to see. Go, go, go. But anyway, guys, I'm glad to be back. It's beautiful out here in Montana. It's so green out. Oh my gosh. When I was gone, we got so much rain. Anyway, let's stop. I have so much dang stuff to get to. Anyway, I ran across this article from Wired.com. This has actually been going on. We just recently had in New York City, the 5th taxi driver has committed suicide. So the question is, well, why are these taxi drivers, why are they committing suicide? And, well, mainly it can come through, they're really getting hit by Uber and Lyft coming in as competition. Now, does that mean it's, oh my gosh, yeah, if we just get rid of the Ubers and Lyfts of the world, everything will be fine? No. But the real culprit of this problem is not, okay, if you look just on the surface, it looks like it's Uber, it looks like it's Lyft, it's these ride-sharing apps. But the root of the problem is government. So anyway, guys, to get to that conclusion, let's first look at what's been going on here. Okay, so to get to this Wired article, until recently, just reading from it, until recently, driving a cab in New York was a gateway to the middle class, especially if drivers could get their hands on a coveted medallion, essentially a permit to operate their own cabs rather than leasing cars from others. With the number of medallions fixed, prices generally rose, peaking in 2014 at over $1 million, well outside the budget of many drivers. But good news for medallion owners who sometimes borrowed against them. Since then, though, prices have fallen sharply as competition from ride-hailing services intensified. And so what we have now is these medallions that, you guys remember hearing about these taxi medallions in New York City going for over $1 million. Well, that they peaked at over $1 million. It was like 1.2 million in 2014. Well, now today they're hovering around under $200,000, about $175,000 for one of these medallions. So you have a lot of these people. Some of these people who own these medallions are the drivers themselves. They don't want to lease a car. They want to have their own car. They want to have their own small business. So they invested in what they thought was a good investment. They go and they leverage themselves. They put themselves in debt to buy one of these medallions because they're thinking, well, in the long run, this makes sense. I can make money. I have my own business. This is fantastic. Well, and I guess these people who are buying these would also argue, well, the government, they set a cap. There's only going to be 13,600 yellow cabs around New York City. So with that cap, they're like, well, these things can only get more expensive. Well, you know what's kind of funny? This same sort of argument is going on today in, say, Montana. People talking about and trying to conserve and people coveting their liquor licenses and like how those are going for over $1 million a piece. And they have a cap on those. Well, I see the same thing happening with these liquor licenses. They can easily be destroyed in value just like these taxi medallions in New York City. Okay, well, so by government creating these medallions, this mythical asset that's been created by government decree, just like with the fiat money we use today to spend on goods and services, is only worth money because the government tells us, hey, this is what money is, nothing else. Gold and silver, that is not money. You can't pay your taxes in gold and silver. You can't accept that for payment. It has to be in dollars. And so then what we have is a lot of these drivers who are losing their arse on these medallions, they lost a lot of money on these damn medallions. And these guys, these taxi drivers, they're committing suicide. Hear what these taxi drivers, thought was their way to retirement. That, buying this medallion, it's going to be a great long-term investment. Now that's not the case, where you've lost over 80% of the value of what you thought you had is gone. So a lot of these guys, they can't take it. It's like, that's a lot of debt to be in. There's been several times on the show I've brought up this experiment where you have the two monkeys. The one monkey receives one banana, is happy as hell. The other monkey receives 2 bananas, and he's happy as hell, but then they end up taking one of the bananas away, and now he's mad as hell. I mean, the outcome is still the same. Each monkey still has one banana, but the other one realized he lost one. And to actually feel like you have something, then you don't actually have it, that destroys people. And that's what's been going on with these poor taxi drivers. I mean, I feel bad for them. I could imagine going through something like that, thinking you have this value that's going to be there, and it's not. And just continue on with this article here. For taxi drivers, disruption is not only financially destabilizing, but also demoralizing as it recasts their careers as gig work. Okay, but this is one thing we have to talk about also. Okay, being a taxi driver, gets into free market economics and just economics in general, understanding how things work. Things change. Things aren't always the same. Whatever you have as a job, you think that's going to be your job forever and ever, that you're not going to change? No, your job has to change and be able to go with where the economy's going. Anyone who owns a small business, they can't be like, nope, I ain't doing what customers want. I'm doing it the way it's always been done. Well, if you want to do that, you're going to go bankrupt. Things are always changing. If you want to go back and keep making, Windows 98 and those old computers with a 2 gigabyte hard drive, thinking, nope, I don't need to change. I'm going to make them. These computers were good enough before. Why can't they be good enough now? If you have that sort of mindset, you're screwed. As an entrepreneur, you always have to be staying ahead of the game, trying to anticipate where you think consumers are going to be at. That's what Steve Jobs did. Steve Jobs was quoted as saying, I'm totally butchering this, but he said it along the lines of, I don't want to meet a customer's demand for a product they want. I want to create basically a new demand. I want to create a demand for a product that hasn't been created yet. It's his idea, innovating, being ahead of the game. That's what you got to do. And these taxi drivers, you just think that you're going to do that forever and ever. Or truck drivers nowadays, you don't think that's going to be automated? Where Tesla's already talking about the semi that's autonomous. Once you get trucks driving themselves, right now you're limited by human capabilities, and they have to sleep over so many hours. I don't know what it is, 18 hours, 16 hours. They can't do more than that than a day. Then they're forced to rest, and that's being regulated by these truckers keep logbooks and so forth. Well, when you have an autonomous car, when it's a computer driving the truck, they can go 24/7. And so there's a lot of jobs that have been there for our parents' generation, our generation, and you just think, no, it's not going to change. But things are always changing. And so, basically all of our jobs could potentially be gigs. It's like, this isn't a career. No, I don't know. I don't get why people don't, it's taking responsibility for yourself, isn't it? And realizing that, oh my gosh, I have to always be improving myself. I think that's kind of a good thing. I don't know. So anyway, let's get back to this cab story in New York City. So right now in New York City, as I kind of mentioned earlier, the yellow cabs, New York City has that capped at $13,600. But this cap only applies to the yellow cab drivers. This has no limit whatsoever on Uber, Lyft, and these other ride-sharing services. So right now, what's actually kind of crazy is that we have way more people that are using the ride-sharing app and are basically totally replacing taxi drivers. You have more than 63,000 black cars through these ride-hailing apps. So you have 63,000 compared to 13,600. That means there's almost 5 times more Uber and Lyft drivers than there are taxi drivers. So here's these medallions they're going down in business. They're having actual competition. And so it's really hurting. It's destroying the value of these taxi medallions. It's like, if you can just go into a more of an unregulated market and be an Uber driver, you don't have to worry about the taxi medallion, then that's a lot smarter route, isn't it? If you want to be a driver. And pulling out from a 2017 survey, these app-based drivers, about 57% of them are earning less than $50,000 a year, and there's 22% earning less than $30,000 per year. So it's not like, I know when Uber first came out, there were people making $80,000 a year with these apps. So just like the competition, even with Uber in and of itself, these drivers are making less than they used to. So eventually, and actually I want to get to this quote here a little bit earlier. Actually, I won't even bring it up now. Let me just get to this quote later. And I remember reading this in the article. It's like, yep, these guys, they don't understand economics at all. Like, what the hell are they thinking? Okay, anyway here. So with, the Ubers of the world kind of destroying these taxi medallions, the value of them and hurting these taxi drivers, that have the government monopoly, or certainly thought they certainly used to. Here, the government wants to step in and help these guys. So we have the IDG. It's petitioning the city to require apps to raise driver pay by 37%. And the NYTWA is demanding that the city raise the yellow cab rates and make them the minimum for all app-based services. So here they are. The government's trying to impose price controls on these apps like Uber so that people aren't saving any money compared to the yellow cabs. Because, the government, it's all about, making sure there's a level playing field, right? So how is this helping any consumers out there? They're not trying to lower prices. They are raising prices on the consumer. You and I. You want to catch a taxi or an Uber in New York City. It's already expensive as hell if you want to rent a room in a hotel there. Well, now you want to get anywhere. You obviously don't want to rent a car in New York City. That would be a damn nightmare. But here you have the government wanting to force apps to pay the drivers as much as yellow cabs and vice versa, so that it's exactly the same. And so now, this is just a few sentences later in this article right here. Both groups, this is the next sentence in this article. Both groups also want the city to cap the number of new entrants as they worry that demand isn't keeping pace with increasing supply of drivers. This is the perfect example that people writing this article at Wired have no understanding of economics, or just people in general. They don't. They worry that demand isn't keeping pace with increasing supply of drivers. In a free market, we don't give a crap. And actually, if you have a rapid increase of drivers, you have an increase in supply of drivers, but the demand just isn't there, what's going to happen? That supply, well, prices are going to have to come down to a level where some of the supply, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. It's not worth it for me to be an Uber driver. I might as well just go back to doing X, Y, or Z and being a barista at a Starbucks. People make those judgment calls based on what they're making. But if there is an edge that these people see being an Uber driver compared to these other jobs, then they're going to take it. But right now, this supply is not going to be a problem. The free market fixes this stuff. But here are these people writing this article, they're worried about it. Oh my gosh. The demand isn't keeping up with increased supply of drivers. Oh no. What are we going to do to fix this? This stuff is ridiculous. And then hold on, it continues on here. A former New York City traffic and planning commissioner showed that the hours that taxis and rideshare vehicles spend unoccupied in central Manhattan increased by 81% between 2013 and 2017. Without passengers, drivers don't earn money. No kidding. So it's just like what I was mentioning earlier. If we have an oversupply of drivers, because now that Uber and Lyft have come into town, because now that, Uber and Lyft make up, there's 5 times more of those than there are taxi drivers in New York City, then eventually some of those people realize, wait a minute, I can't seem to get anyone to hop in my car. I work a 14-hour day. I get 2 people in my car. This isn't worth it. There's way too many people out there driving. I'm going to go find some other line of work, and that's what's going to happen. The free market fixes it. Nobody's telling these people, hey, no, you shouldn't be a driver. We're not going to allow you to be a driver because of the government cap. The free market fixes it with wage rates. Wages are a price. And that's why I've done episodes talking about the minimum wage, how we don't need to establish a minimum wage, a government-imposed minimum wage. It's a government price control. It's a government cap that doesn't help anybody. Just like this cap that was imposed in New York City, limiting the yellow cab drivers to 13,600, thinking, oh man, we're going to make it so these yellow cab drivers, they have a great middle-class lifestyle, have these $1 million medallions. So the government created this monopoly. They created this problem in the first place. And now the government is trying to fix it even more with more price controls on the free market stepping in, trying to fix this problem. That's what the free market does. The free market is always trying to fix these problems imposed by government. And I have this quote I saw somewhere in this article. I'm like, oh, of course. Dang it. Well, anyway, I can't find that little quote I was trying to find. But anyway, just continue on here. The government it's working on more regulation and ways to try to help this taxi industry. So now one of the several proposals for mitigating the effects of more ride-hailing. Last fall, council member, whatever, yada, 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 Yadnas Rodriguez introduced a bill that would allow medallion owners to operate 2 vehicles under a single medallion. So here's these guys that were worried about the supply of drivers. Now you'd have drivers with 2 cars, so you're going to increase the number of yellow cabs out there, but they're trying to make it so they can get more use out of that medallion. Help them out. But still, you have plenty of drivers. If they can't compete on price, then what are they going to do? And actually, what I was referring to earlier, trying to find that sentence in this article. So yeah, with these taxi drivers, sorry, my computer just went to hell. I had the computer, I didn't realize I just had my laptop running off a battery, and so then it died. So now I'm here, I'm back, and I can't remember what there was a little article I wanted to refer to. I was gonna get through something, and now I freaking forgot. But just to wrap up this article, talking about taxi drivers, medallions, it's the government that created all these problems in the first place. this artificial monopoly that should not have existed in the first place. If we just had a completely free market, all there would be the Ubers and Lyfts of the world. And actually, yeah, the one thing I was referring to earlier, I couldn't find it in this article. I don't know what the heck. I thought I highlighted it somewhere, but I guess not. Was that the taxi drivers hated the idea that, with an Uber and a Lyft, the customer can see exactly what their cost is going to be. But with the taxi drivers, it all is based on traffic. You think you're going to be paying $20, but then after you're sitting in traffic, because it charges you even though you're just sitting there at the light, maybe you're paying $25, $30. And the taxi drivers don't like how the pricing is so standardized and with Uber and Lyft, in that it tells you exactly what you're going to pay compared to a taxi driver, a taxi service, a yellow cab service. And so, yeah, those guys don't like that. But from a consumer point of view, which one do you prefer? You like knowing exactly what you're going to pay on your ride. So here the free market is making things better, more efficient. These Uber drivers, some of them, they don't mind it as a side hustle. They're working their 9-to-5 job, and on their way home, they're doing rides on their way home, because you can set rides up like that. Like if you want to go in this general direction, you can have rides that get you over that way. So that is the market completely destroying the government monopoly. And now it's the free market that's being criticized. Oh no, it's way actually, they're criticizing the Ubers and Lyfts of the world where they're actually too efficient. The drivers aren't making enough. It's like, well, then why are the drivers driving? Uber is an app, like you volunteer for it by downloading the Uber driver app, and you set up your profile and you start driving. Like, talk about free will. Geez, that's all your choice to do it. If they feel like it's not worth it, then they're going to stop driving for Uber or Lyft. It's that simple. So there's going to have to be a happy medium, so you at least keep some drivers, just so that the supply meets the demand. And also with an Uber and a Lyft, during these horrible snowstorms when no one else wants to be out there, guess who is out there in New York City? Uber and Lyft. Because their rates as drivers, they make more money in the worst conditions out there. Taxi drivers, it's the same rates. So they don't give a crap. You don't want to see, taxi drivers don't want to be out in the snow, the horrible weather. So the free market, this is, talk about a perfect example comparing the free market to this government largesse, to this government monopoly that wants to keep inefficiency in place. And how it's attacked by, basically, Uber and Lyft make the consumers better off. But now it's these government officials, these politicians out there, they're all about trying to protect you, the consumer. Really? Really? No, you're not. You make life more miserable. That's what you politicians do. You make us poor by printing money. The Federal Reserve. All of the crap that you guys do, spending money inefficiently, you destroy our standard of living. Get the hell out of our way. We're sick of you bureaucrats destroying our lives. And it doesn't matter what you put in our way, the free market, we are going to push through. It just makes it a little bit harder, but we will get it figured out. And we're going to make you guys irrelevant. Well, at least, anyway, we hope so. When the next crisis comes, I hope to God that's the case. You guys become irrelevant. And people realize the clowns that you are. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you on today's show. I actually have to get heading out of here. Catch up on all the episodes. Go to justinmooreshow.com, or it's spelled MOHR. Join Tom Wood's Liberty Classroom through my link there on the website. That's a good way to help out the show, and it makes you a smarter libertarian/conservative, whatever you are. And also, you can donate to my show. I give you bonus episodes, and you can also buy your Amazon goods through my Amazon link on the website. Great way to help me out, get a small commission back. Costs you nothing extra. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to all you next week, and I'm looking forward to it. This is Justin Moore, signing off.